Multicolored hair, a pierced eyebrow, a tattoo on her right arm, was not exactly fulfilling their expectations of a daughter-in-law. "What have you been up to?" she asked me when I reached the dining room. I smiled at her. She asked me when I reached the dining room. I smiled at her. I was surely glad the tattoos and rings were out of her body. "I was talking to Sanaya," I told her. "Sanaya?" "She's my friend, Mom. She's new in school." Mom nodded silently. It was probably the first time ever that she heard of any friend of mine. "Mom, are there any chocolate cakes in the fridge that I could take with me to school tomorrow?" I asked her suddenly. "Yes, Shanvi," she said. "But since when did you start liking chocolates?" "It's not for me, Mom. It's for Sanaya. She likes chocolates." I gave Mom my cheesiest smile. Mom's quizzical, worried face hung on my mind for a long, long time. In Sanaya, I found my first friend. It felt good. I finally had someone whom I could text, someone I could spend lunchtime with, and who would sit with me in bus. She made my life happier. She would listen to my troubles and would inspire me to face and overcome them. She would hold my hand sometimes and tell me I'm not as bad as I think I am. She became my best friend, and soon we were seen everywhere together. The other girls nicknamed our pair Gabriella and Gabriella. "Hey!" I called out to her one day as I was walking down the school corridor, spotting her near the coffee machine. "Hey," she beamed at me. "What time are you coming today? My tuition class got cancelled so you could come earlier if you want." "Shanvi, there is this big news I gotta tell you," she said. Her voice was full of excitement. "What is it?" I asked. "Steve asked me out. I'm going on a date with him tonight," she said, hardly able to contain herself from jumping with joy. I took a step backward when she said that. "But the show is in 4 days, isn't it?" I said, with a little anger in my tone. "Yes, Shanvi, but we've practiced enough. It's been a month. The lines are all memorized. One outing won't harm us. And besides, I just couldn't say a no to Steve." She beamed as she spoke. She liked him. She was happy I wasn't enjoy your date, I said sternly, and left. Maybe she had called after me, maybe she hadn't. I was too deaf to realize as I reached home, I saw Jack waiting at the gate of his house to say hello, with that stupid smile pasted on his face. He liked me, or at least he said so. "You're looking beautiful today," he said. I smiled clumsily. Other girls might find this crap romantic. I didn't. I looked the same always, and if he found me suddenly more beautiful one day, then it's nothing but his own stupid imagination. I didn't talk to Sanaya that night. She didn't text me, not even once, not even to tell me how her date with Steve went. The next day went the same. She didn't call or text me at all. She didn't find the need to do so. It hurt. I felt alone. Angry. She was my best friend, my Gabriella. Was it so easy for her to stay away? Finally she called in the evening. "Can I come over?" she asked. And I forgot all about being angry. "Sure," I said. "I guess we do need some practice." "Yeah, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Dad will drop me by car." "Cool?" "Cool," I smiled at my cell phone. Yes, she was coming. And I couldn't believe my own happiness over it. I cleaned my room in a jiffy, and brought chocolate cookies from the kitchen. she liked chocolate cookies. And then I played some soft music on my laptop. I was trying to please her. And I had no idea why. She arrived in 10 minutes as promised. She wore a loose t-shirt with short blue denims. Her hair was freshly washed and it smelled of honey. I felt cheerful at once. "Hey," she greeted me. "Are you okay today? You seemed to be in such a bad mood when I met you last time." "Sorry about that," I said. I felt embarrassed. "I was just upset you didn't tell me before. I was going to tell you, you know." "Ah. Never mind." I interrupted her. I didn't want to make her feel guilty. We went inside to my room and she at once jumped at the chocolate cookies on the table. "Love these little things that you do for me, Shanvi," she told me, munching at the cookies. I felt blessed. Then we started with our practice. I realized we were growing better every day. She said her lines with so much emotion, they almost seemed real. I think I wish they were. "So how's Steve?" I finally popped the question. "Steve? He's nice. Sweet guy." I nodded. I couldn't ask anything more. The show was in 2 days and I couldn't spoil things at the moment, but it feels kinda empty when I'm with him, she said, without waiting for me to ask. "It feels superficial." Her voice trailed off. I put my arms around her and kissed her cheek. She smiled and kissed me back. It felt beautiful. Too beautiful. I watched her pink lips, and the way they moved when she spoke. I felt a strange urge to kiss them. I moved forward and brought my lips close to hers. She stopped speaking. I went closer, and she started breathing heavily. I could hear her breath, I could feel her panic, and I could hear the million worries screaming inside her head. Suddenly she backed away. "Call from home," she said, and flipped open her cell phone. Gosh, I didn't hear her cell phone ringing. "Dad's waiting at the gate," she informed me and collected her belongings. She was hurrying with her work, but she didn't seem mad at me. "I'll see you in school then," she said and waved me goodbye. I waved back. I wondered what would have happened if the cell hadn't rung at that moment, what she would think of me then. What does she think of me now? I didn't dare text her, and neither of us brought up the topic for the next 2 days. The play was pulled off perfectly well on stage. Everybody applauded the two of us. I had never seen Mrs. Steve Smith so happy before. "Shanvi and Sanaya. You girls were marvelous," she cheered after the show. Sanaya beamed. "We did it," she cried out, and hugged me tight. It gave me goosebumps. That night, she agreed to come home with me for a sleepover. We decided to have a small party in my room, just me and her, to celebrate our little victory. She loved to dance, so I put on the best party songs to which she could groove. And as I watched her, I realized that there was no denying this fact. I was in love with Sanaya. Everything was so crystal clear. I knew I was in love. It felt just the way love stories made you feel. Just like they show in the movies. It was sweet and romantic. But there was just one problem: I was a girl. And so was she. But should that matter? Should people hate us for falling in love? They say the most important thing in love is one's heart that beats for the other. My heart beats for her. So what if we have the same body? Loving another human is never a crime. "I broke up with Steve," she said suddenly and sat down on the floor, tired from all the dancing. I was jerked awake by her words. "What? Why?" I asked. "I tried to hide my happiness. I didn't feel I was in love with him," she said. "He's too full of himself to love me." I nodded. I wasn't happy with him, you know, she continued. Are you happy with me, Sanaya? I asked her. She looked at me, straight into my eyes. She said nothing. But her eyes tried to tell me a million things. She felt it strongly, but there was fear. I didn't dawdle this time. I went forward, took her head in my hands and kissed her lips. The kiss lasted for hardly 3 seconds when I released her. I didn't know if I had done the right thing. But it didn't feel wrong either. It just felt pure. I stared at her. She stared back. I waited. She smiled. I smiled back. Love you, my Gabriella, I told her, holding her shoulders.